Welcome back to All Things Movies. Today's adventure explores the king of the whip, Indiana Jones, who has been thrilling audiences for decades and is attempting to continue doing so for many more.
Indiana Jones. Always knew someday you'd come walking back through my door.
However, time cares little for the profitability of a franchise. And despite all the electronic wizardry used to deny its pass-in, we'll be discussing whether an electronic mask is any better than one made from papier-mâché when your knees are dodgy and your shoulders carry the undeniable sag of age. Indiana Jones was introduced to the world in 1981, debuting in The Raiders of the Lost Ark. Created by George Lucas and directed by Steven Spielberg, it would be more perplexed if it had gone wrong than become one of the great trilogies of modern-day cinema. Many believe that's where the series should have ended, but Dr. Henry Indiana Jones Jr. continues to milk the box office for every last drop, although we fear the cream has long gone. Not satisfied with being the smoldering bad boy Han Solo and second fiddle to Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, Harrison Ford devoured all the attention as the lone hero Indiana Jones. Playing a rugged professor by day, respected as an academic, and lusted after as a crush for his students, he was as desperate as the audience to take off his bow tie and adorn his hat and whip, ready for the next adventure. The naive yet knowing charm of the flawed Jones made him instantly likable. His wit and bravery, adding to the list of reasons his appeal, stretch across all generations and genders. The trilogy was completed by The Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade, the latter widely considered to be the finest of the three, mainly due to the heartwarming and natural chemistry between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford as father and son. Many say it was the perfect ending to the saga. Some people ignore what has happened since and continue to do so. Indiana Jones took the nostalgia of the original Hollywood swashbuckling hero and dragged it into the modern world with a nod of appreciation to his roots, but a firm eye on the audience and what their increasingly cynical tastes could stomach. Set in the 1930s, Indy's attitude and humor were that of the 80s, forming a bridge between the plot and the viewer. We put aside questions of how useful a whip really is as a weapon when fighting in a cave, and allowed ourselves to marvel as every situation he fell into suited it to perfection. We forgave the lack of logic and let ourselves be carried away on the adventure every child wants to be a part of, even when they've grown into adults and had children of their own. But we couldn't forgive what came next. Before they could attempt to revitalize it in the way they had the Star Wars universe, George Lucas wished to finally ruin both of his legacies. Maybe allowing those grown-up fans who were inspired as children to seize control of the space franchise was the key, rather than letting those who may never have truly understood why we loved what they created. It appears the limitations on technology were the only reason Lucas wasn't found out sooner. The beauty of Star Wars was that all the futuristic equipment felt used, and more importantly, broke all the time. The reason the second Star Wars trilogy failed was because he made everything shiny and fresh. And where Indiana Jones was always vulnerable and his athletic feats remained just within the possibilities of humanity, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull went way over the top just because it could. From the moment he hid in a fridge from a nuclear explosion, to be catapulted half a mile without injury or the door falling open, to the ridiculous ending where you can almost hear Lucas screaming, "Aliens." People love aliens. Aliens and Indy. What could go wrong? We can't even talk about the forest full of monkeys Mutt navigates for fear of smashing the laptop this is being typed upon. 20 years they said they waited for the perfect script, so as not to taint the memory. Well, either mass dementia set in during the first reading or money really does make everybody open up and swallow whatever gets put inside them. Subtlety has truly been the sacrifice we made for CGI, and George Lucas not only made the mistake, but failed to learn from it and couldn't wait to repeat it. In 2012, Walt Disney bought Lucasfilm, and with it, Indiana Jones's soul. The only remaining question is, how will Disney ruin the fifth installment of what was a glorious trilogy? We suspect it will involve trying to pass off an 80-year-old Harrison Ford as the middle-aged man he once was, all because they've smoothed out a few lines on his face. For anybody that watched The Irishman and stood back in astonishment as everybody heaped praise upon it, you'll know to expect more of the same. Watching Robert De Niro play the new tough guy on the block, kicking justice into a man on the sidewalk, while struggling to keep his balance before he'd even lifted a foot, makes you realize that age isn't just about your face. Young bodies move completely differently, and that can't be mapped over. And if it can, you have to ask why we even need the actor in the first place. Using younger people who look remarkably like their older star has worked just fine for years, and once people are bored of the newest toy in the box, they'll return to it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is due to be released in June 2023. We can only hope it's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, although being worse would probably be even more impressive. We'll happily take back our cynical musings should it turn out to be even close to the original trilogy in terms of entertainment and film craftsmanship of the highest order. But for now, we remain skeptical. Like any good love story, there's a beginning, middle, and end. The beginning was glorious and faultless. The middle grew a little stale, and the attempts to recapture the excitement only proved what was once there had definitely gone. We wait to see if the future sees our metaphorical couple fall in love all over again, with the people they become over time, or is proved terminal and past saving. Feel free to agree or disagree in the comments below. Maybe you loved Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Maybe you hate the originals. All opinions are valid when it comes to art, and we're just offering ours without ego or challenge. Feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more of our meanderings.